I hope you spend the rest of your time left here on this planet wasting away in misery every day of your directionless, pathetic life. Rot in hell.
A Wisconsin man who admitted to fatally shooting his ex-girlfriend in the stomach after an argument over a possible pregnancy was handed a life sentence with the possibility of parole in 50 years. Logan Barkley pleaded guilty in November 2024 to first-degree homicide with a DV modifier, months following the April 2024 shooting death of his ex-girlfriend, Kirsten Hansen. According to the criminal complaint, Barkley told police that on the night of April 16, 2024, he and Hansen went for a walk on a local biking trail. They had an argument about the possibility of her being pregnant for a second time. The two already shared a young son. Barkley reportedly told police that he snapped and shot Hansen in the stomach, leaving her for dead on the trail. A passerby found her body the following day in the Fisher Creek area near South Afton Road and West Rockport Drive. Detectives were able to identify Hansen the following day and looked at Barkley, with whom she had a prior dating relationship and shared a child.
The state's position is that the correct answer, the only correct answer, is life without parole. The basis for that is that the crime could not be more severe, that, frankly, words fail to capture the defendant's lack of character. And because the public deserves to be protected, both generally through general deterrence and specifically the victim's family.
Kirsten was a daughter, a sister, a twin, a former classmate, a coworker, a neighbor, and a friend. She was also a mother to Jason, who will grow up only knowing her through photographs and stories. Someday, when he is older, he will have to be sat down and told what happened to his mother and the reason why she is gone. In the weeks and months since April 16th, I have been living a nightmare which I cannot wake up from. I now define life as before April 16th and after April 16th. My last memory of her is seeing the back of her head from where I sat on the couch as she ran out the door, not knowing she was meeting her killer. Kirsten did not die peacefully of cancer in a hospital bed, surrounded by her loved ones. She died alone, a violent death at the hands of an evil monster. He was someone she loved and trusted. What a betrayal. She did not deserve what happened to her. It breaks my heart knowing that her son will have to grow up without his mother. She loved him, and she has already missed so much. She was not there to see him take his first steps, hear him say his first word, or take a bite of his first birthday cake. When he starts school, she won't be there. When he reads his first book or aces a spelling test, she won't be there. When he gets an A on a school project or wins a ribbon or award, she won't be there. When he attends his first dance, when he learns how to drive, she won't be there. If he gets a part in the school play or makes the team, she won't be there to watch. When he starts his first job, when he graduates, she still won't be there. You had options, but you chose the wrong one. You gave us a life sentence, a life without our daughter and sister. Therefore, you should have to forfeit yours. My family and I ask this court to show you no leniency. Mr. Barkley, I don't like you. I have never liked you, and I will never forgive you. You are a sociopath and a pathological liar. I hope she haunts you in your cell. I truly believe she has unfinished business, things she needs to say. She was not ready to go yet. It was far from her time. She was only 22. Quite frankly, I do not care what you have to say, because I know you are not sorry. You are only sorry you got caught. I hope you spend the rest of your time left here on this planet wasting away in misery, every day of your directionless, pathetic life. Rot in hell.
Normally, at a sentencing hearing, I don't really need to spend a lot of time describing the crime. And to be honest, I was hoping I wouldn't have to here. But the thing is, Judge, I read every word of this PSI, and then I printed it, and I read it all again, and highlighted it. And then I read every word of the defense sentencing memorandum twice. And unfortunately, I have to talk about this crime with some specifics, because the number one emotion I felt upon reading these things was disappointment. Yes, Logan Barclay lied every single time he talked to police. But every time they would track him, they would narrow him in, he would at least get closer to the truth. Now, I knew he pled guilty, and obviously it's possible that he just pled guilty because he was aware that throwing himself on the mercy of this court and begging was the only chance he had to not die in prison. But I hoped that he was doing it because over the course of the last 10 months, he'd gotten himself to the point where he was going to finally give us the truth. But he didn't. He told 4 stories to police, and all of his words in both of these documents are continuations of that 4th lying story. Fate didn't lure her to the woods and bring a gun. Fate didn't shoot her in the stomach and leave her there to be found by joggers or eaten by animals, whichever came first. Fate didn't cruelly walk away, stashing the evidence, hiding her phone, and Fate didn't lie about how he hopes she's out with friends. Logan Barclay didn't play anything. He's the dungeon master. He set everything up from the very beginning of a concrete plan that he has still to this day refused against all evidence to acknowledge. And that's why I say lies, sir. Because literally every shred of evidence says he's lying. And the only pieces of evidence that say anything in support of his theory are the words of that guy, Mr. I Hope.
I agree with the prosecutor said that this is a grave offense. It's just such a violation to take a life of another human being. And that has to be something that factors in heavily into your decision today, Judge. But that's not the only thing that we factor in, because in this country, we don't have law that is eye for an eye. That is not how our justice system is set up. Our justice system is set up to say that the court is to impose the least measure of punishment that is in line or commiserative with what has happened and what all the facts are. So we don't automatically go to, if you take a life, you have to forfeit your own. That's just not the standard that we have. I'm asking you to do a really tough thing in a room full of people that don't want you to do it, and I understand why, but I am asking you to set an outdated song.
I'd like to apologize to my family and to all the other people affected by my actions. So, that's all.
And then you shot her. And you left her. And she had to crawl to a tree to try to pull herself up. You took her phone, you left. You say you panicked. But you took the phone. You know, I hadn't even thought about just throwing it in the river until it was talked about this morning. but you took it home, and you took it back to her house, around her house, where again, it would be found, again, as part of the plan. You know, it's interesting, as Frost indicated, he's good at engineering. And it kind of fits into Mr. Sanders' argument that he engineered the plan. And when I look at, he took it, he went to his friends, he went out, had some drinks with his friend. Friends asked him, "You seem fine." Well, in the report, he said, "Well, I was just holding it in." So was he? He's sitting there, he's concerned about where Kirsten is, hopefully she doesn't do something dumb. And I think it fits into the argument the state talks about here, that he was creating an alibi. You know, and ultimately, when he's questioned and caught about it, he lies. And then he lies again. And he continued to lie as the detectives finally pushed him into finally telling what happened. You know, I've read through all the reports, I looked at Mr. Barkley's background. He had some issues, he's had some trouble in his life, personal troubles. He's had some emotional issues. That doesn't excuse what he chose to do here. I believe he engineered this plan that ultimately cost Kirsten her life. So you're getting, obviously, life in prison for the felony, for the intentional homicide. I'm going to make you eligible for extended supervision, but not for 50 years. It's going to make you 73 if you're still around. 50 years, given the complexity and I believe the heinousness of this event, is the appropriate size.